Welcome, everyone. This is the MasterClass. My name is Patricknazareth. I have around 30 years of teaching experience and I would like to help dispel your doubts, should you have any. Today, we look at the lesson, A Wedding in Brownsville, written by Isaac Bashevis Singer. Isaac Bashevis Singer was born in Poland in 1902. He later on emigrated to America. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1978. He wrote primarily in Yiddish, which is the language of the Jews. Later on, he collaborated with people to translate his works into English. What did his work deal with? Jewish life, the traditions, and the impact of the Holocaust on the survivors and their communities. He died in the year 1991. How many times have you been forced to go to a family function when you didn't want to go? Dr. Solomon Margolin does not want to attend a particular wedding. Why? It always seemed to eat into his time with his wife because he had to give the Jewish community his time. He had taken on too many responsibilities. One group had appointed him to a committee. He was a board member of another society. He had become co-editor of a Jewish quarterly. He himself had become an atheist, yet he dragged his wife Gretel to visit Abraham Macalis, a person from Sensiman. Dr. Margolin treated members from his community, rabbis, refugees, Jewish writers, free of cost in his hospital, even gave them medicines if required. Over the years, he had been a regular member of all the societies, all the committees. He had accepted positions. He had gone to all the parties. Now, Abraham Macalis was marrying his youngest daughter Sylvia, and obviously he sent him an invitation. His wife Gretel flatly refused. It was too far. By the time they went there and came back, it would be 3-4 o'clock in the morning. They were too old for that. The food that they would have to eat wouldn't be too healthy either. The doctor understood that his wife was right. But what was he to do? Even though he had to be at the hospital early, he had to go for this wedding. Nowadays, these sort of functions did not make him happy. He saw the way the Jewish community had changed, how their customs had changed to reflect the time in America, how they spoke Yiddish even with an accent. Even the learned men of the community, like the rabbis and the cantors, began to dress and imitate the Christian pastors who were found in America. Whenever he took Gretel out to all these functions, like a wedding or a bar mitzvah is when a male child attains the age of 13, he secretly felt ashamed. His wife was born a Christian and had converted to Judaism, but even she could see that American Jewishness was not correct. At least he felt this time he would not have to apologize to her. Usually, after breakfast, he used to go with his wife to a walk in Central Park. But today, he lingered on in bed. He recalled how he had stopped attending functions of the Sensima Society. You see, he had come from a small town called Sensiman, basically a community of Jews. His town had been completely destroyed by the Nazis during the war. People he had known, including his own family, had been tortured and killed. Many of them had survived and they had come to America and they had formed the society. Tonight's function, he knew all of them would be there. They would treat him with familiarity. He was, after all, one of their own. The morning was grey, overcast. A heavy snow had fallen. He got up, went to the bathroom. He shaved and did his toilet. He was looking his age today. He ate his breakfast and lay down for a while on the sofa. He observed his wife Gretel. She had married a doctor and had converted to Judaism. And she had actually changed her whole life. Even the way she spoke, she interacted, was more Jewish than German. She had been a nurse. One brother was a Nazi. He had died in a concentration camp run by the Russians. The other had become a communist who had been shot by the Nazis. The only remaining sibling she had was a sister in Germany. Her father was still alive and she stayed with her sister, and Gretel used to send money to them. What about Dr. Margolin? He had come over to America from Europe. In everybody's eyes, he had prospered and done well. He was respected in his society. He had come from a poor family. His father was only a teacher. He was a handsome man and he always was attractive to women. In fact, he says he still pursued them even at his age and with his high blood pressure. The doctor thought of himself as a failure, but why? Because he was a child prodigy. He was able to repeat entire passages from the Talmud and the commentaries on them. Even at the age of 11, a learned rabbi referred to him as great and illustrious. In his teens, he had become a master in the commentaries on the sacred book. At 17, he had even attempted to translate Spinoza's Ethics from Latin into Hebrew. He was unaware that it had been done before, but the main point is that it was an ambitious task. It was an ambitious undertaking. Everyone thought of him as a genius, but he felt that he had lost a lot of his talents because he had spent most of his time in learning languages and wandering from country to country. He had fallen in love with Rizal, the daughter of Melik the watchmaker. Rizal had married somebody else. Even his medical career did not give him any joy. He had begun to get irritated with the people who came to him with their illnesses. Gretel comes to him and asks him like a dutiful wife, "What shirt are you going to put on? What are you wearing?" He looks at her. He sees how the Holocaust has affected her. She refuses to even have a maid. It's a sort of penance for her. She atones for what her family has done during the war by doing everything herself. She is forever at work in her apartment. She asks him at least to take his vitamins, but he is irritable and refuses. As he exits the house, Dr. Solomon Margolin takes a look in the mirror one last time, sees that he is dressed properly, and he realizes even at his age, he is handsome. He remembers in Germany, he was mistaken often for a Junker. Who were these people? The Germans believed in the Aryan supremacy. White people, blonde hair, blue eyes, well-built. And Dr. Margolin was like that. Dr. Margolin had stuck to his principles. He had never deviated from his ethics or his Hippocratic oath. With his patients, he was an honorable man. He never indulged in any association, even if his career could have been forwarded. Dr. Margolin decided to go by taxi. He looks at the landscape passing by him. He is thinking about the questions that have troubled him all these years. Why did Hitler exist, for example? Why did Stalin? Why do cancers exist to hurt people? Was it possible to live a long life, be immortal? He can smell the sea on the air. Suddenly the taxi jolts to a halt. He can hear a siren coming. He passes by an ambulance and a person is being loaded onto the stretcher. An accident. He notices that that person is also well dressed. Perhaps he himself was going to a wedding. They reach their destination. He pays the taxi driver and goes into the hall. Inside, people are dancing. Everybody is having a good time. When they notice him, they're very happy. Everyone comes up to him, wishing him l'chaim. In other words, it's a bit like us saying hello or cheers or how are you. The bride comes in. Photographs began to be taken. Everybody knows the doctor. Even if he doesn't know their names, they seem familiar to him. And the smells are those of his childhood. Flowers, sauerkraut, garlic, perfume, mustard. And even he says a particular odor that only sensibers have. Everybody comes up to him, wishes him, asks him how he is, introduces themselves if they feel that he has forgotten, and they give him the latest gossip on everybody there. That gentleman, his sister, his brother, what happened to them? Were they killed in the Holocaust? Whom did they marry? How are they doing? And so on. Most of them who tell them the stories about people who have passed away or people who are not there wind up tracing their deaths back to the Holocaust, like the Nazi death camp at Auschwitz. It was time for the wedding to take place, but it was delayed for some reason or the other. Perhaps the rabbi had not come. Perhaps the cantor, or maybe one of the in-laws were missing. Abraham McEllis, the father, rushed around, meeting everyone, trying to make everybody happy and look after them, because after all, it is the wedding of his daughter. Music grew louder and louder. Dr. Margolin became increasingly bored. He just nodded and smiled almost reflexively, but his mind was elsewhere. A billionaire arrives. He himself was a refugee from the Holocaust. He had come here with his wife and children, made a lot of money. His family had died, and he had spent no time remarrying at all. Even his wife had married for the second time. Dr. Margolin felt increasingly drunk, and so many people were coming up to him, talking to him, telling him stories. He was asking questions, that his mind was in a whirl. Then he saw a lady, and he realized he had seen her before, and he couldn't understand where she had seen her. But he went up to her, and on questioning her, he was told that she came from Sensimin. She identified herself as Rizal, and that shook him. How could it be? His first love was dead a long time back, and if she had survived, how come he had not known about it? He took her away from the crowd. They went to the chapel upstairs. He wanted her. He needed her. He even told her that he would like to marry her. He started thinking about Gretel. How can he explain this to his wife? He realized, in the eyes of Jewish society, they were not even legally married because they had a civil wedding. They had not had a wedding under the Jewish customs because his wife had not converted. He tells Rizal, just say the word and we will get married right now. According to Jewish law, he could be married to her without a ring. All he needed was some money. Even a penny would suffice. He put his hand into his pocket, but he didn't have his wallet. And then he looked back at Raisel and he realized something is very wrong here. This girl is too young. After all, she was the first love of my life. She would be far older. Is this her daughter maybe? Making fun of me because she knows about my love affair with her mother? He looks at her more closely. He understands something is wrong. He is wondering where he's dropped his wallet. He recalls the last time he took it out was to give the money to the taxi driver. Perhaps it was there that he had lost it. Then his mind goes back on the taxi drive and he remembers the accident. Was he in an accident? Instead of witnessing the accident, was he himself a part of it? Had he died? He felt very odd. Something was wrong. There was no physical sensation from as far as he was concerned. And he thought to himself, have I died? And if I have, what will Gretel do? All these thoughts came to him and he tells her, you cannot be Raisel. Why not? She says. And he replies, they shot her. She died. And then he realized something. Even Raisel didn't understand what was happening. So he thinks that maybe both of them are trapped in this dimension. They are dead, but they don't realize they're dead. Their souls are wandering on this earth. Is he hallucinating? Raisel tells him, what is the problem? He shakes his head and he thinks to himself, why worry about all this? At least the both of us are together. And Raisel replies, that is what she has been waiting for all these years. The chapel is full. The bride is coming up the aisle. And the priest and the rabbi and the cantor are saying the prayers over the couple that is to be married. We are left over here at the end standing. We don't really know the answer. What has happened to both of them? That is something for you to think. Who are the characters in this story then? Dr. Solomon Margolin, the protagonist, who's a successful Jewish doctor who emigrated from Poland to America. Gretel, Dr. Margolin's German wife. She was a former nurse who converted to Judaism and she embraces Jewish culture. Raisel, Dr. Margolin's first love from his hometown, daughter of Melech the watchmaker. Abraham McEllis, whose daughter Sylvia is getting married and whose wedding Dr. Solomon goes to attend. And of course the very many people that he meets with at the wedding feast. The taxi driver, a silent person who drives Dr. Margolin from his house to the wedding, or does he? The settings, New York City, where he lives and works. Brownsville, Brooklyn, where he goes to attend the wedding, a working class Jewish neighborhood. The wedding hall, where he goes to attend the wedding of Abraham McEllis' daughter, Sylvia. Senchemin, Dr. Margolin's destroyed hometown, where most of the people in the wedding come from. What are the literary devices in use here? Symbolism. The snowy weather represents death and transformation. The wedding represents life and continuity despite tragedy. Foreshadowing. The car accident early in the story hints at Dr. Margolin's possible death. There is an ambiguous ending. We are left uncertain. What has been written about? Is it real? Is it imagined? Or is it supernatural? Stream of consciousness narrative. It follows Dr. Margolin's internal thoughts and philosophical reflections. There is irony, a celebration of life, that is, a wedding, becomes a meditation on death. What are the themes that run through this story then? The memory of the Holocaust and survivors' guilt. The story tries to explain to us how Holocaust survivors feel about being alive when so many of the people they love and have known have perished. Identity and assimilation. Dr. Margolin struggles between his Jewish heritage and his desire to be a part of American society. Love and lost opportunities. We are told about Raisel, regrets for paths not taken and love lost. Death and the afterlife. The ambiguous ending where we don't really know what has happened. Such as themes about what happens after death and whether love transcends mortality, whether love lives on after death. Alienation. Despite his success, Dr. Margolin feels disconnected both from his past and his present communities. That's the lesson there for you then. I do hope I have been able to help. If I have, please remember to like, subscribe and share. Remember, there might be others who would be requiring our help. Thank you so much for watching.